So I kind of wanted to admit something. I've admitted it to myself now. I kept pushing it away and denying it. But I wanted to admit it publicly. Not that that matters, but, you know, in the 20 years that I've been shooting photography, I've shot with everything. I've had everything. My first photography camera was a Nikon D70. Then I switched everything over because I started video at that time. I switched over to Micro Four Thirds, got a GH4, then a G7 and G85, and I also got a G9 since I had so much Lumix glass. I had the best glass I could find for Micro Four Thirds. Because I do mostly headshot work and model portfolio updates, it just didn't give me the look I was going for, and I had kind of become known for with headshots like this that I'll throw up on here. I love that blurry background. So because I also shot with Fujifilm, so and that was even APS-C, but I got images that I absolutely adored out of my Fujifilm X-T1, which I still have back there on the shelf over there somewhere. And then I switched over to Canon EOS R and a Sony A7 III. And I loved full frame. I loved shooting photography with full frame. And I absolutely loved Canon colors. So I switched all my video cameras. I got rid of the GH4, the GH5 that was brand new to me, my G7, my G85. Got rid of them. And I got, at the time, 2 Canon C100 Mark IIs, and then eventually picked up a third. And then I also got a red, and the red was short-lived because it was just too much of a hassle for me. And I didn't have time, nor back then was I really even prepared for shooting onto SSD drives, and my knowledge on color grading was very, very limited. So the red just was not for me. But the Canon C100 Mark IIs, man, they were awesome because the file sizes were like miniature. Like you would upload from your SD card onto your computer in seconds, and even on my older MacBook Pro, rendering and everything was just so easy to do with the file sizes from the Canon C100 Mark IIs. And then even when I switched over to the Canon C200s, the Canon C200s, I loved them. I had no reason to get rid of them except for my internal fight that I wanted to revisit the GH5. Because I felt like I cut myself short with that and I wanted to get back to it. I just wanted to get back to the GH5. I had something internally going on. And that was the only reason I got rid of my C200s. And I knew then anyway that if I got rid of the C200s and went back to the GH5, I would most likely eventually pick up either, and I don't know which, but either a C70, a C80, or an R5C. And because I do so much photography work, the R5C makes obviously the most sense. But man, do I love that C80. You know, I've got my Sigma FP for my run and gun work. So I've got that full frame. Yeah, at least I have that. And I really do love the image that comes out of the Sigma FP. I've got a ton of lenses for this. Not as many as I would like. You know, there's not as many L mount. I do want to pick up the new Sigma 17-40 for L mount and Fuji X mount, because there's no adapter that adapts, as far as I know, there's no adapter that adapts L glass to X mount or vice versa. So I do want that Sigma 17-40, because obviously as the Sigma 18-35s are the gold standard of the industry, you know, I've got 2 of them and love them to death, use them on both of our C200s, and I have an EF to Micro Four Thirds adapter, so I can use them on the GH5 and the GH6, and it's nice. It's nice, but man, I want that 17 to 40. I really do. But it's still like pre-ordered. I can't get my hands on one. And I couldn't, B&H, I called B&H and they said it was still on pre-order for L mount and X mount. So I think they had an RF mount available on hand, and but no L mount or X mount on hand. So I want that lens. So if any of you guys have used that lens for L mount or X mount, please comment, send some type of whatever you can say about it. Say it on in the comment section. I want that lens pretty badly. But okay, so the point that I'm getting at is, as much as I absolutely love my Sigma FP and the full frame image, this is great. This is my run and gun setup. I did have a short stint with the Fujifilm XM5 to see if it could compete as a run and gun, and I got rid of that. I made a video on that. You can find that in our playlist. And I also picked up a Canon R8, thinking that would then become another full frame option for run and gun. Well, I didn't like the Canon R8 very much, and it overheated. And I know that there's some workarounds with external V mount or whatever, but it just I never should have sold my Canon EOS R. That is one of the points I'm making. I shouldn't have sold it. I had no reason to sell it. I just got a great offer on it. I put together a camera kit. That's what I do a lot. Like whenever I sell a camera, I have a lot of people in my network that come to me and ask if I'm selling any gear, because I have so much gear, so much camera gear and music gear, tons of music gear, basses, guitars, amps, pedals, drum. I mean, I have Pro Tools, rigs. I've got so much from being in the music industry for so long. But so I if somebody calls me up and says, hey, do you have, this camera, a C200 for sale? I say, yep, I got a C200 cinema set. I'll rig it all up for you, everything, monitor, tripod. I get them all set up. Lights. I include lights all the time. So a guy made me an offer on the Canon R8 to trade for the GH6 that I'm filming with now, and it was a great offer. I said, why not? And previous to that, somebody made me an offer on my EOS R that I couldn't refuse. Cash offer, wanted to buy my EOS R, a bunch of EF glass that I never used anyway, with the Canon adapter with the ring on it. And I set the guy all up with a cage and everything, and cash in hand, man, cash in hand. As a single father of 6, cash in hand wins. And so I took the offer, got rid of it, but now I'm like, I'm going to look for another EOS R. But if I'm going to get an EOS R, why not just put the money into an R5C? If I'm going to get an R5C, why not get an R5C and then get a C80? I'm all over the place. And this is where the gas comes in. This is where the gear acquisition syndrome kicks into people like me, who just love gear and love playing around with different cameras and seeing what they bring and seeing what they offer. And I just love experiencing everything out there. And, really the only thing I don't play around a whole lot with is Sony, because even though I like Sony cameras, I don't love them. I hate the old Sony menus. I like Sony colors, but I love Canon colors. But I will say I do love my Sony A7C. I do. Absolutely, I do. I got rid of my A7 III within 2 months of owning it, but I got an A7C a little bit later on and ended up enjoying that camera. And I'm not a rangefinder style guy. I'm not really into rangefinder bodies. It's not my thing, but I do really like the A7C. I'm sure I would love the A7C too, but I don't want anything that has to do with AI. I don't want to go down that road. That's why I'm revisiting the GH5, because I don't want additional assistance. I want to make myself work. I want to make myself be challenged to be a better videographer, somebody that can call myself an actual filmmaker. I mean, I've shot a couple documentaries, but I don't consider myself a filmmaker. I'm working on 2 documentaries right now that are very, very important for my primary industry. And I'm a full-time bodybuilding and addiction recovery coach for 27 years. And one of the documentaries is extremely important in the addiction recovery side of things. So I hope that that will become a project that really pushes me to the extent that I can then, after that's completed, say to myself, okay, I've now put together a film, you know, a documentary that I consider a film. And I will add right now that I don't write anything out. I never write anything out. Not for this channel, we have 4 other platforms. And our main platform, which you can find here, you know, we have 3.8, almost 3.9 million views, channel views to that channel, multiple viral videos. I don't ever write a single script out. I don't ever write anything out. I've never used a teleprompter in my life except for on film sets as an actor, but I'm a storyteller. So I get in front of the camera and I just talk, and I could talk forever. And I have enough stories from my life that I can literally just talk forever. And this is a prime example. Here I am just going off on a tangent, talking about everything except for the one thing that I said I wanted to talk about and admit, which is I miss Canon colors. That's it. That's the thing. I'm shooting this on the GH6 in Vlog. And there's a lot that can be done with the GH6, and there's a lot that can be done with the GH5, and I do really love the image that comes out of the Sigma FP. I do. And I love my Fujifilm X-H1. I've got 2 photography shoots scheduled for next week, so I will be using the X-H1 with mostly my Viltrox glass. Currently on here I have the 75mm f1.2 Pro, and the Fujifilm X-H1 will be my primary photo camera for both of those shoots. And I love that camera. I still love it. Still love it. But I'm like, well, I'd love to try an XH2 or XH2S. But I still love the video on the X-H1. And it offers so much that I love about hybrid cameras for video. But there are things about it that I just don't. It's great for photography, and it's fine for photography. It's that I don't mind these at all. I don't mind the knobs, but I'm not like a Fujifilm knob guy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't love Fujifilm for the knobs. Like, I don't need that tactile experience. I would rather have a custom knob, so I can have C1, C2, C3, C4 right here for film, for video. But you can on the X-H1. You know, you can save your photography presets on here, but I want to save my video presets like I can on the GH5 and the GH6. So again, ultimately, at the end of the day, the point is, I do miss Canon colors. I do miss shooting with Canon, because I just love Canon. And as I've said in many videos, many times before, there are things that I love about every brand, things that I love about each camera that they bring to the table. But the EOS R was just a fantastic camera. I used the EOS R for so many photo shoots, and then I also used it for smaller run and gun type video shoots. And even with the 4K crop, like, it was just fine. I worked around the 4K crop. The 1080 was a great quality. So I had the EOS R for mobile shoots, and I used it a bunch of times. Even for brand shoots, I used the EOS R. Came out great. The clients that I shot those for were extremely happy. And then the C200s stayed in the studio. It all worked out. So there's the whole point of all this. Where to go next? I'm going to keep my promise to myself and to you. I'm sticking to giving the GH5 the time that it deserves. And I'm going to start enjoying the GH6 a little bit more. And the X-H1 will continue to be my hybrid camera, as it has always been. And the Sigma FP will continue to be my run and gun. But I'm pining for another Canon camera. So Canon, if you're out there, I know I'm a small timer here on this channel, but we're approaching 4 million views on the other channel. We've got about 1.5 million views on one of our other platforms. So come on, we make things happen. Canon, hit me up. Alright guys, thanks for watching another video here at The Growing Pro. I know I just blabbed on and on and on. That's what I'm good at. I'll see you in the next one.